Well, I woke up to go get me a cold pop, and then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. And then the smoke got me. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another wonderful episode of Open Mic Night with Tommy and Lucas.
WLT, baby.
Or with Lucas and Tommy.
Or with Tom Lucas. To Lucas.
To Lucas?
Sounds like a city in Oklahoma.
What would, Lucas and Tommy be? Lamas? All right, we're off to a strong start. So this is your episode, and then I said I wanted to get involved in it, and then you passed the buck over to me, and now I want to pass the buck over to you. I don't know. You want to start with happy belated Thanksgiving?
Guys, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving.
Did you have a happy Thanksgiving?
I did.
What did y'all do?
We went to my sister-in-law's house. It was her first time hosting. It was okay. The thing about my wife's family is everything they do is late. If you say we're gonna have dinner at 5, dinner's gonna be 8.
That's a Mexican thing.
It is, man. It sucks. So,
I tell all the Mexicans in my family we're doing shit at noon, even though it starts at 4.
That's how you got to do it, because we didn't.
And they all show up at 12:30 or 1 o'clock.
We were finally eating at 9, and then I don't think I got home till 1 or something crazy like that.
Oh shit!
But yeah, it was. So that was a typical Mexican Thanksgiving. What's funny is Mexican people don't eat Thanksgiving food. So we brought the traditional stuff, and then someone brought birria tacos, and somebody else brought freaking tamales and shit. So
that's typically what we do on Thanksgiving though too. It wasn't until just recently when I fried a turkey and brought it to a family get together, and everybody really liked it. But typically we used to make fajitas and enchiladas and stuff like that. Because we just never really been big on traditional Thanksgiving stuff. Now we kind of do traditional. I fry a turkey and smoke a ham on my Pit Boss smoker that I got last year. And Stacy makes all the sides, and people bring some stuff. But now it's for Christmas, we typically do the fajitas and, trompo and
Christmas
all
in
the
Texas.
Delicious Hispanic goodies.
And then, so that sounds amazing, by the way. And then from my side of the family, on Saturday, we went out. I guess my family decided that they were going to do an Airbnb this year. So they had this killer beach house out in Kemah. And I got to see what it was like to be wealthy for once in my life.
It's freezing cold, and you're on the beach.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? Whenever you're in this part of the country, you don't anticipate it's ever going to be cold. So I just think they figured it was going to be oh yeah, it'll be 80 degrees.
And it was until the day before, right? And it dropped to 45.
Yeah, they never got to use the pool, but it was nice.
So that's what we started doing was we've been real big on vacations. My whole life, I've never taken vacations. I've always had jobs where I was always the sole breadwinner in my previous marriage, and we barely made ends meet. So I would take vacation days, but it was typically with little kids, it's because somebody's sick or somebody has a doctor's appointment, or maybe there's a football game, right, that you want to make on a Friday or something weird. So that's where all my vacation time went. So it wasn't until the last couple of years where I actually take 5 days off of vacation, a week of vacation, and actually go somewhere. And I remember the first time we did it, it was when we went to go see my son in Tennessee, and he told us that when we come up there, he wanted to propose to his girlfriend. And so we end up getting this I think we, what's it called? The home site where you can see the value of something.
Ooh, I don't know.
What Zillow. I
Oh.
pulled it up on Zillow, and because it was like a really nice cabin outside of Gatlinburg in the Smoky Mountains, like overhanging off of a cliff, and it was like a $750,000 cabin. It was like a 2-bedroom house, and it was worth like $750,000. So yeah, it was legit. But I remember we were going to just get a hotel, and Stacy told me, well, it's just like a little bit more and we can get like this cabin. I'm like, all right, well, let's get the cabin. Well, come to find out it was like a lot more. I think it was like $1,500 for like 4 days.
Oh.
And I was like livid. But then I got there and we spent the first night there alone. So some freaky shit went down, which was amazing. And it started off and they had this 8-person hot tub on the back deck hanging over the mountain.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
And it was like 40 degrees outside, but it was heated. So we were out like in the hot tub drinking a bottle of wine in the freezing ass cold underneath the fucking stars in Gatlinburg, Tennessee in the Smoky Mountains. And then, you know, things transpired in the hot tub and
You got pegged.
I'm like, this is literally the best money I've ever spent in my entire life.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
But also we had like this really cool spot where, Andrew and his fiance ended up coming to stay with us. So they had a cool place to go too, you know, our cabin. And then on the last day that we were there, her family came. And so we had like this really cool spot. Everybody was able to get together and it just totally seemed like it was worth the price. And so last year we did the same thing. We were in at like this $1 million freaking lake house in the mountains and it was probably about the same price. We were there for like 4 or 5 days. And the first day is all of us. You know, the first night we recoup because it's a long ass drive. It's like 14, 15 hours. So we pretty much pick up a pizza and like eat a pizza in bed and then go to sleep.
Just die for a day.
Yeah. But then the next day it was just like me and Stacy spending the day together and kind of exploring the house and the property. Cause we were like in the middle of nowhere. And then the day after that, we had a big party for all of our friends in Tennessee to come. So they had this really cool place and we took like a bunch of like, tortillas and stuff from like HEB and I took a bunch of like, fajita meat and stuff. And so I was cooking and we made everybody a Houston, Texas dinner.
Nice. Some Tex-Mex.
Some Tex-Mex in Tennessee. And we all got super drunk and had a great time. And then the day after that, Andrew got married and then again, her whole family came and spent the day with us and, you know, it's like, so we only get together with them like every other year. So it's not like here where we can see family whenever we want, you know, so that's really important, I think. But that's not what brings us here today.
Yeah. I actually, I'm here to tell you that I can't make it today.
Oh, it's nice of you to come by in person to tell me you can't make it to the recording.
After like 5 to 10 minutes. It's like that scene on The Dark Knight where freaking, what's his name? Morgan Freeman goes all the way out to China and he's like, yeah, we can't do that deal with you. And he's like, next time, just call me.
Dude, yeah, that's exactly right. But
so yeah,
you wanted to talk about a grown man's hole.
Yeah, Mel's Hole. Mel's got a good hole. All right, Mel's Hole is deep and it's mysterious. Now this is sounding kind of graphic. This is actually about an urban legend, or it could be real. It's called an urban legend on the webs. But basically, whenever we're trying to find stuff to talk about, this is pertains more to whenever we were doing a lot of like scripted stuff.
Yeah.
Always on the lookout for interesting stories. And
well, and just to set up this episode, I think what we decided, because we both said that we were going to do a Thanksgiving themed podcast the day before Thanksgiving, and things happened, so we couldn't get together and record, and then we were going to do it after. And then we were like, yeah, screw Thanksgiving. Like, let's just do a cool, interesting story, right? Yeah. I would bring one, you would bring one, kind of like our old Freak Show episodes. And then that didn't happen. But we know how important it is to get something out, right? To let everyone know we're still alive. So I think what we're going to do is talk about Mel's Hole. But I want to do a Fun Time Horror Show episode on it. And this is Lucas's idea, but I really want to do the episode And so we'll have to figure out a way to team up. And so I thought what we could do with this episode was give the overview of Mel's Hole, what it's about, get the people's interest up. And then that way they'll tune in to Funtime Horror Show when that episode's released and check it out.
I think that's what we're going to do. Now, just to be fair, don't beat up on us too hard. It's not that those things didn't happen. It's that we both drive around the greater Houston area all day and Thanksgiving happened. And it's hard to coordinate some of those things sometimes.
Yeah. So you have like little kids and that keeps you busy. I don't have any kids, which automatically volunteers me to do like the bulk of the labor anytime we have family get-togethers. So I was in charge of a lot of cooking, a lot of planning. Of course, we hosted because we have pretty much the only house in the family that can support 20 people, right?
Yeah, it's pretty spacious.
And also people enjoy coming over here and eating because they can just like take leftovers home and leave. And then Stacy and I clean up all the mess. So it's really convenient for everyone except us.
I'm going to have to have you start cooking me dinner too.
Well, what sucks though is I don't want to get all into Thanksgiving. We'll save that because I have another episode idea that was kind of born out of the idea of Thanksgiving.
Nice.
And we'll discuss that later. But
all right, so let's dial it in.
Yeah. So talk to me about Mel's Hole. What do you know about it? And I'll fill in the blanks with what I know.
Well, one of my favorite ways to bring in a story is to tell you how I discovered it. So this is one of those where like, if you wanted to discover like just the weirdest shit, just let your YouTube autoplay.
Yeah.
Because it's going to put stuff based off your algorithm.
Well, especially with our algorithm.
Yeah, no crap. No shit. So like, I was just randomly, I was trying to find murder stories one day for Funtime Horror Show. And it's one of those things where like, if you're looking for it, like nothing seems good. Like you keep opening the fridge and you're like, and you close it and you go back, And while I was letting everything kind of play or letting the last video I watched finish, this came on a video about Mel's Hole. So, Mel was a young boy and he always, never mind. Okay. So seriously though, Mel is a guy, Mel's Hole is about a bottomless pit that exists, near Ellingsburg, Washington.
It's definitely in Washington. I know that much.
And so I don't know the order of events, which is good because there is going to be an actual.
Ooh, I do.
Okay. Well, hey, Tommy, you take it away. This is about
no. Do the overview, and then I'll fill in the holes that I know.
Fill in Mel's holes.
Yeah. Okay. Fill in your mom's hole.
Mom, watch out. Tommy's coming. Okay. So, there is a guy who owns property, and one day he, or not one day, but he has this hole that's just always existed on his property, and he throws trash out there. He throws his trash in there. I mean, if you imagine having a rural property of any type, you need to answer that?
No, I'm good.
Imagine having a rural property of any type. You're going to have all kinds of brush and, spaces. And if you have a certain amount of acreage, you're going to have parts that you don't always get to or whatever. But basically, there's this hole that just always existed when the guy got the property. And he's always used it for throwing trash in it. So if I remember correctly, one day he begins to realize that he never has to burn this trash in this hole. It never fills up. So he himself begins to investigate, like, yo, what's up with this? And so maybe this is where you can kind of jump in. Does he start by throwing stuff in there, or did he get like a fishing rod? Or there's different tests he tried to do.
It kind of started off where I don't know if he discovered the hole because he kind of made it sound like he knew it was there because he had known that the previous owners had also used it as a dumping ground.
Is that what it was? Okay.
But in addition to the previous owner using it as a dumping ground and him now using it as a dumping ground, the neighbors that own like neighboring property were also using it to throw their trash in. And that's what he kind of was like, what the fuck? Like this thing at some point is going to fill up. And I think at one point, he said that he threw a refrigerator in it. I mean, they're like putting like legit waste into this hole. And at one point he even threw like a television set, and like back in the day, these things are made of like glass and they weigh, 50 to 100 pounds. Right. And he throws it in there. And then what he realizes is that he never hears, not only does it never fill up, but when he throws the refrigerator and the television down there, he realizes that he never hears a crash. So then that got his wheels turning and he was like, like, fuck, how deep is this hole? So So being a fisherman, he had a spool of fishing line, and he puts a 1 pound weight on this fishing line and starts lowering it down in there. Well, I think he said he got to I think it was 1,500 feet.
Holy shit.
And he never hit the bottom. So then he started buying more fishing line and more fishing line and more fishing line. And I don't know if this is a spoiler or not for what you want to say, but at some point he gets to 80,000 feet.
God damn.
Which, let's Google. Why does it always default to bullshit Yahoo? How many miles is 80,000 feet?
15?
15 miles.
15 miles into the earth.
So his wife apparently worked for a university that was local to his town or in his town. And he starts getting her to talk to some of the people at the college to see if they would be interested in actually bringing some equipment out to investigate this. And nobody's taking him serious. And he tries to do a bunch of due diligence and make phone calls and reach out to people. And everybody thinks that he's full of shit. And also, I like to say, I don't think that this is a, what'd you call it? Urban legend?
Yeah.
Because I actually found all the episodes of the phone conversations he had with
the radio host.
Art Bell.
Yeah.
Art Bell.
Yeah.
And
your cousin.
He's at least a legitimate guy telling what he believes is a legitimate story.
Was hit in Washington State.
Mel's the guy with the never-ending hole, and we're going to ask him about it here in a moment. Now to Eastern Washington. I guess this is Eastern Washington. Mel, are you there?
Yes, I am.
First of all, Mel, thank you for answering. What are you doing up at this time of the morning?
Well, after I sent the fax, I'm...
We were talking about the fact that I heard this radio.
We're talking about Mel's Hole and you taking it.
Yeah. So anyway, we got to the point where he's on I know what you did. We got to the point where this dude is actually calling and telling the story to Art Bell, and go ahead.
No, I'm just. Oh, you want me to take it?
Yeah, take it.
Oh,
it's your episode.
No, it's fine. You know a lot. You know more details right now. So what I remember of this, at this point, he has several sessions with Art Bell, and in the 5, and over time, these episodes, these interviews are really popular. I believe they're getting a lot of call-ins, and a lot of people are just like it's gaining a lot of traction. Well, it gets attention from the feds. And I believe he comes back from one of the interviews and his freaking property is just crawling with FBI, and Mulder and Scully were there. No,
it was between the first and second call.
Was it? Okay.
So he gets on the first call and he's telling the story, and people are calling him, asking all these questions, and some of them are legit. Some of them are, I think this show's on, I've heard this show before, on AM, and what is it called? I can't remember.
No sabes, mijo.
It's I don't know, but he's always talking about aliens and weird shit.
Yeah. So this is at a time before there was the internet, before you could get on iHeart or whatever, and you kind of had to listen to the radio or watch TV for your entertainment. Yeah. This takes place in the late 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, he was real big. He was not a Howard Stern, but in that tier in terms of he had maybe not shock jock value, but definitely out there. He was pretty much the freak show of his day, I guess you could say.
Yeah. In 1997, the show was called Coast to Coast. And I've heard this before, I don't know, when I lived in Deer Park, I remember hearing it in the middle of the night. So it might even still be going on to this day.
Still in syndication.
But, yeah. So essentially Mel tells his story. All these callers call in, and he calls back a week or two later to basically report back. He tried several of the things that the caller said he should try. And he did several experiments to answer some of the questions that he didn't have answers to from the callers. And then what happened was between the first and second call, he shows back to his property and it's blocked off. He can't get to his property. And there's like government looking type people there.
Will Smith.
And yeah, Will Smith was
Tommy Lee
there.
Jones.
Yeah. Sorry, you got me.
Men in Black. I'm being stupid.
Oh my God. The sergeant from Full Metal Jacket was there. Randomly. And he's like, hey, what's going on here? And they said, oh, well, we can't let you through. There's been a plane crash. And he's like, really? Because I didn't hear about this on the news and I'm looking around. I don't see smoke or like, where did the plane crash? And the guy's like, why are you asking so many questions? And he's like, well, this is my property. And he said, oh, really? And so he calls this other guy over who's this just random dude wearing like normal street clothes.
And he has a mullet.
Yeah, probably. And he says, so this is your property? And he said, yeah. And he's like, well, we can't let you on. And he's like, no, that's bullshit. Like, I want to get on my property. What's going on? I want answers and stuff like that. And he said, well, to be honest with you, sir, this may or may not be your property anymore. And he's like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? And he was like, well, it might be your property, but if you want to keep pushing the subject or keep, barking orders or whatever, it'd be a shame if we were to like find a drug lab on your property or something like that. And so they basically throwing threats at him.
Yeah, we can make your property go away from you.
Well, and come to find out, the dude actually had like a laboratory on his property.
Meth lab?
No, it wasn't meth, but he said it was some type of, he heard about this plant that indigenous people, like Native Americans, were using to like treat headaches and like common medical things. And so he actually was like, I guess, growing and producing
It's like
this.
weed?
It wasn't marijuana either. It wasn't anything that was illegal.
No.
But the problem was there was a laboratory on site and he was afraid that this government official guy could flip it to make it look like he was like making meth or something. And he was terrified that he was going to be thrown in jail. So he didn't want to push the subject. And with that, that's all I got. That's as far as I got.
So
there's 3 more episodes.
So then the government official said, you know what? There's only one way to solve this. And he took him on a date. And they went to Twin Peaks and shared a picture and looked deeply into each other's eyes. And then afterwards, they found a Scottish inn.
Like we're doing now. And then they made a podcast.
Found a Scottish inn. And that's how they solved Mel's Hole.
Well, how do you want to approach it? I want to do a Fun Time Horror Show episode.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do a Fun Time Horror Show episode. And I think since do you want to take this one or I'll just pick a different topic since you're like... Dude, you're like in it. You're like balls deep in the story. I like it. It's a great story. And I think you're telling it well.
No, I suck at telling stories.
Have you ever talked to my uncle?
Unless I'm like telling stories to get like a lady friend in the bed.
What if you tell such irrelevant stories? And then my mom told me to put the cookie back in a jar. Like sounding like Bobby Boucher.
I'm like, hey, I have a 12-inch penis over here, and she's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, you want to see it? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, well, turn off the lights first.
That's your forearm.
This really got off the rails.
Oops. Well,
like we tend to do. But yeah, I know that this is going to be a short, I guess, episode, but that's essentially the story that Lucas has been looking into, that he got me turned on to, that I'm all about now, and I want you to tell the story.
All right.
Stop being a little bitch, dude.
Well, let me tell you something.
Tell the story.
Let me tell you something, Quinn Tennyson. Nah, I got you, brother.
Now, I want you to tell it. And I think what I want to do is, because like you're a way better writer than I am. So I think you can really do the story justice. But then I want to put the Fun Time Horror Show production flair on it.
Yes.
And then that'll be my part.
Okay. It's done. So consider this a really entertaining, half on topic promo for.
When do you think you can have it done by?
I can have it ready for next Wednesday.
So you want to skip a open mic night and just do a Fun Time Horror Show episode?
We can.
Okay. All right. If you can schedule enough time, maybe we can do a short recording on this. Or maybe we can do an intro or an outro like we used to do, where we'll record the main episode and then we'll record a short episode to talk about the episode that we just recorded.
And then we'll do a third episode where we talk about how well we felt we talked about the episode, talking about the episode.
I like where your mind's heading right now.
We're doing great things. We're blazing trails today.
We're gonna get 3 clicks for one topic.
Whoa, this is great.
Actually, at our current trend, we're gonna get 1.5 clicks.
Dude, just be patient, all right? It's like you always tell me whenever everyone always tells me about my new position. It takes time.
Yeah, it does.
And the thing about it is that we're likable some bitches. I tell you what. We just gotta get out there. People are gonna give us kisses on the forehead. I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been telling you, just do the do the actions. Do the what? I don't say actions. What do I say? The activities.
Mm-hmm.
Just do the activities. Do the activities. If there's something that you want in life, do the activities that it takes. Are you laughing right now?
I have Tourette's. I was about to say punch someone and take it.
No. I mean, you can, but that's beside the point. But just do the activities. Remember wasn't our last episode?
Trying.
Yeah, trying. So I have a fail safe 2-part method to achieving anything that you're scared to do. Number 1, stop it. Stop bitching, stop worrying, stop complaining. And step 2, do that shit.
It's profound if you think about it.
It is. They're okay. I'll do something a little more philosophical. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. How's that?
That's perfect.
Yeah, you gotta take the first step.
That's actually from the Tao Te Ching.
Is it?
That's Lao Tzu. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I thought it was from your mom.
Well, there's a lot of things up in there. Anyway, I think this is a good place to wrap it up. We'll take it. You guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next time around, Tommy. Yeah, next week we will be telling the story of Mel'S Hole on Funtime Horror Show. So check that out. If you haven't seen it, it's Funtime Horror Show, all separate words. Make sure you find the most current version, because there is an older version out there that's non-applicable any longer. I think we should also release a couple archives like we normally do. So we'll have a new episode plus a couple archives. And as always, if you want to reach out to us and share a story, you can do that at openmicnightpodcast@yahoo.com. And you can also write us a letter through USPS. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Give your address? No, hell no. All right, have a great one, guys. All right, we'll see you next time.